Get started. I really want to thank everybody for joining us today for our second webinar in a series of 5 on neuroplasticity. And today we're going to be talking about neuroplasticity as it relates to our anxiety and stress. And so, I say anxiety and stress because they're kind of two different things. They're very, very interrelated. So if we start with the dictionary definition of anxiety and stress, anxiety is an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worry, thoughts, and physical changes, such as increased heartbeat or blood pressure. Stress is your body's reaction to challenge or demand. Stress is a feeling of emotional tension or physical tension. It is often accompanied by an emotion of being overwhelmed. I just can't handle anymore. I'm just weighted down. Other descriptions include feeling angry or frustrated. So if you're having a hard time telling the difference, so is the dictionary. But anxiety is more the emotion and stress is more the physical side of that. And so I kind of want to remind you that as we grow, so does our nervous system. Our nerves, minds, and bodies develop based on how we live. Through neuroplasticity, our nervous system decides what is going to cause us anxiety and stress. So if we grow up and keep doing something we have always done in a healthy way, that's something will usually not cause us anxiety and stress, unless those actions we are taking are just not good for us. Then our body will create anxiety and stress. So I guess I really want to stress, no pun intended, that stress and anxiety are natural parts of living. The less anxiety and stress a nervous system has to handle, the healthier we are. So it's really a level of anxiety and stress that we want to pay attention to. Our perspectives of life are directly related to how much anxiety and stress our system has to handle. So the way we're thinking and emotional and the way we're going through that, anxiety and stress will affect our body directly on how we think and are emotionally tied to what's happening. The sources and amounts of anxiety and stress are directly affected by the events in our lives, our choices, and the perspectives, and our behaviors. So it's a lot of things that are really part of this. Our bodies are made up of interdependent, oscillating networks, which are constantly adjusting to our ever-changing lives. So what that's really about is that we have 11 or 12 systems in our body, like muscular, skeletal, digestive, depending on who you ask, it's 11 or 12. I like to say 12, that are always adjusting and have to adjust how each system is adjusting. And they don't adjust at the same speed, so the changes can take some time. But what's really important about all this is that the levels and the duration of anxiety and stress that each person has to endure is directly affected by how they treat themselves and their opinions of what is happening around them and to them. So it's really about perspective. So, what we're talking about here is changing our perspective to change how our nervous system is taking in and changing based on what's happening to our lives. So if you change your perspective to constantly think about the ways your thought and behaviors affect your nervous system and then act accordingly, you can condition your nervous system to function the way you want it to. For example, if we are aware that because of our past, our system overreacts, we can respond to that primary nervous system reaction, which is actually coming out of our sensory nervous system, with a secondary reaction, which is kind of from our brain, more in tune with how we want to react. So we don't have to follow through with that primary, we can think about it, take a deep breath, and then be able to make change. And if it's something that happens with a trigger that we want to kind of change, then if we meditate daily on not having that trigger cause the primary reaction, at some point, our nervous system will stop causing that primary reaction, and we won't even have to instill the secondary reaction to calm it down. So for more information on how to do this, please visit the resources tab on our website and review the blog titled Meditating to Change Our Physiological Function. It's kind of a different spin on meditation. And it's really about causing lasting and permanent change to our physiology. So for example, I have a friend whose mother was attacked by a dog when she was very young and remains scared of dogs this day. When my friend was younger, his mother instilled her fear of dogs into him. So when he met my 10-pound miniature schnauzer, he was terrified. When he realized that his terror was based on information which did not apply to the real situation, his nervous system still was overreacting and would not allow him to interact with my dog. So we decided that every time he came over, we would spend time and have him, get closer and closer to the dog. And he also spent time every day meditating, conditioning himself that he did not be afraid of my dog. And he did this long enough until his nervous system stopped overreacting. So now his perspective is that he doesn't have to be terrified of dogs. And he's really happy around my dog, which means he gets to live his life with less anxiety. So as you're doing these kind of things, what's going to happen is resistance is going to come up. Resistance is how our nervous system tries to stop us from taking certain actions or thinking a certain way, typically for reasons of surviving. So our nervous system is keeping track so that we can survive things that we need help surviving. Resistance is the blockage we feel towards making the change. It's because our nervous system is like, hey, we're doing this to survive and you want to change it? Oh my gosh, don't do that. And that's a resistance. And so that resistance may actually also come with a fight or flight reaction, which is part of the primary reaction of our nervous system. Resistance may also happen when we do not have the appropriate nerves built or the wiring, like I was saying before, to actually perform whatever we are resistant to. Further, we may have to change our belief systems or practice acceptance and forgiveness to work through any kinds of resistance that may show up. So a little bit more about resistance is really learning when it's coming up and what's causing it. So one way to know if levels of our nervous system are in conflict with each other is when we're asking questions of ourselves like, why do I do what I do? Why did I say that? The reason for this kind of questioning is usually due to self-doubt, which to me is a resistance. We're not accepting and loving ourselves fully at all levels of ourselves, our function, which really means at all levels of our nervous system. Another reason for imbalances in nervous system energy is that these kinds of questions are coming from pushing down parts of our history or holding back parts of our history that we find egregious. And this kind of behavior typically causes a physical discomfort or a physical illness sometimes, or even disease. And so resistance at levels of our nervous system can really cause us problems in the long run. So we want to work on reducing the resistance between our nervous system function so that everything can work well together and we can live healthier, happier, and whole lives. So working on acceptance and forgiveness will go a long way with a congruency between our internal systems. And this is all happening through our neuroplasticity, which is how we can get to a place of thriving. I want to kind of say, unless you intentionally change it, your nervous system's primary goal is to survive. A main part of survival is avoiding things that hurt us or could hurt us, which, fear of those things often causes anxiety. So learning how to intentionally take charge of how the process called neuroplasticity works is imperative if you want to thrive instead of just get by in survival. Hang in there, baby. So I don't know about you, but I personally don't want to be at the mercy of my survival instincts any longer. I want to thrive. So let's do a thriving exercise, which exemplifies the last slide. So let's take 30 seconds. And I want you to list 5 things that you think it's okay to worry about. So here we go, 30 seconds. Okay, so if you want to thrive, that list is empty. Because worry does not mean analyze and handle. It means pontificate mentally on the hypotheticals of what could hurt me, what may not hurt me, and then do nothing. So thriving is about knowing that as far as survival is concerned in our society today, for the most part, we have absolutely nothing to worry about. So let's just not worry so much and spend time taking care of the things we want to take care of and do it thriving. So in summary, neuroplasticity is the science of how our nervous system makes change. If you want to improve how you're functioning or living your life, neuroplasticity means that you can. It can also be the reason why you cannot. Because if we've lived a certain way for a really long time and we don't have the nerves to live a new way, then our neuroplasticity won't allow us to do that. So it takes little baby steps or seeing and practicing for us to be able to change our life. That's all it takes, and that's the good news. So pay attention that how you live each and every day has a direct effect on how your nervous system develops, changes, and functions. Anxiety and stress are natural parts of our nervous system. There's nothing wrong with them. It's only when there's too much anxiety or stress and it's actually hurting us that we have a problem. So avoid anxiety and stress causing behavior like worrying, and your life will be much more enjoyable. If we change how we manage the process of neuroplasticity, we can lower anxiety and stress and maintain them at healthy levels. So in closing, I just want to say very clearly that with today's technology and the awareness of 2020, it's easier than ever before to train our nervous system to stop just surviving and begin thriving. Now is the time. If you agree with me and want to find out more on how to lower anxiety and stress and stop just surviving, go to pathwaveslife.com, check out our website, and hit the schedule a free call button to schedule a free consultation. I really want to thank you for being with me today and going over neuroplasticity and how it can cause anxiety and stress or help it be just a nice part of living. So I want to open it up for questions. So Jennifer, what are the questions today?